There are some interesting theories out there going on in
There
the
are
chat
some interesting
already.
theories.
You started the show, didn't you? Yes, you did.
I did start the show, yeah. Yeah. I gotta say, I didn't pick my name based on the chat. I'm only seeing that now. That's funny. Anyway, hi everyone. I'm Dan Gunther. This is Brandy. We are in the Unready room, as usual. Somewhat unready, but here to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Terra Firma Part 1. And I'm not saying Terra Prime, as I've in various show notes in various places typed Terra Prime, delete, Firma, comma, Part 1. My brain
That's
just goes
fair.
there.
Because technically that series takes place right before Discovery. Well, not right before, but before Discovery. So, Discovery's next in line. So it's understandable how you would do that.
Absolutely.
Plus, that and Demons were some of the best of Enterprise, even though they were really hard. You guys, really hard.
Yeah. The final 2 episodes of Enterprise.
Yep. That's where the series ended.
Well, yep, that was the end. That was the last. Oh, it was too bad they didn't make any more. Darn. Anyway, hi. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And welcome to everyone else who's watching us later. Really do appreciate that as well. So how are you today, Brandy?
I'm all right. It's been a weird week and I've been sick a lot, but I feel halfway normal today. So that is a win. And I get to talk about Trek, so double win. And I get to talk about Discovery Trek, which is triple win. So I'm doing pretty well.
That's awesome.
How are you,
that sounds great. I'm surviving. Not too bad. We're right smack in the middle of a new lockdown here, so which is good. They finally pulled the trigger on that, behind the rest of the country, but I don't know. We're the province that needs it the most, but we took the longest to get there, but we're there, so put a Band-Aid on it.
I wish to God we would do that here, but we won't.
Frustrating. Indeed. But yeah, no, holding up, doing okay, making my peace with the not allowed to go see my parents at Christmas. So it's tough, but it's okay. It's for the greater good, right? That's what we're supposed to, the needs of the many and all of that. So
yeah, well, if going to see your parents means possibly killing them, then yeah, staying home's the right thing.
Absolutely.
In my opinion. So yeah, let's all just not, I mean, the spread of COVID-19 is uncontrolled in this country. It is completely uncontrolled. We're nearing 300,000 dead. And it's just ridiculous that there is still this misinformation and this, it's just a plot by Democrats to tank the economy and make us all afraid. No, it's a real thing that's killing people. Please wear a mask and stay home when you can, as much as you can. Pretty simple.
Yeah, we hear the same things where I am in Canada, except it's not the Democrats, it's the Liberals, but same people saying the same things. So anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're going to give everyone a bit of a break from that now. So we're going to talk about this
authoritarianism.
Well, that figures
fascism.
Yeah, those nice light subjects like that, genocide and eating a servant class, that sort of thing. It's just
yeah, it's some light fare this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So this episode, man, this was a crazy episode, all over the place. I feel like it's kicked everything into a higher gear because the one thing that I have to say about this episode is every assumption that I made coming into this episode by the end is completely destroyed. Like every guess that I had as to where things were going and what I thought was going to happen, totally blown out of the water. And at the end of this episode, I don't know, Like, I have no idea where this is going. So I'm
Yeah, at
excited.
the end of the episode, I had no idea where it was going either. It was just like, okay, I what yeah. There was just so much of that because there's so many questions that do not have answers yet.
Yeah.
And I am in the firm camp of believing that we will get those answers. Okay, you know what? I can't pretend like I've not seen the next episode because I totally have. But I am pushing all of that aside and reacting to everything with the knowledge that I had on Thursday, which was when I watched the episode for the second time when it dropped for everybody. So that is where I'm working from.
Mhm.
And so yeah, there's a lot of things where I'm just like, "Oh, I'm glad I was wrong about that." And then there are other things like, Carl, what are you, Carl?"
What is Carl? Oh, I have as many theories as is possible. I mean, uh, we're not doing this in linear order. What the heck? Let's start with Carl. So
Mhm.
first pops up on the screen. My first thought is like, is this not the most Star Trek thing you've ever seen?
Yep,
Like, I love the original series. That's the one I've been watching since I was a little kid. That was my introduction to Star Trek.
same.
TOS, you've got Trelane, you've got like the amusement park planet with the White Rabbit and Alice in Wonderland. You've got the Beta 11A creature turning phasers into swords and have the Klingons and the Federation fight it out. That was a crazy series. It was nuts. And
Mhm,
this felt like that. Like, she looks up and there's this guy sitting in the middle of a field with a doorway. I'm thinking, yeah, TOS, even like John Delancey's Q in TNG is ridiculous if you think about it.
mhm.
Not to
Oh,
say that
no,
I don't love them.
it's
Like,
you don't
I
need
love
to
all.
think about it. It's obvious in
Mhm.
every second he's on screen. It's ridiculous. That's
Absolutely.
the way the character was made. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, great comment here. Interesting how he hesitated before saying Carl.
Like he was
So
thinking up a name.
yeah, I'm Carl.
Yeah, like yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously not his real name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure he's not. That's interesting. So let's run down the theories a little bit because there's evidence and all kinds of stuff. So first of all, I think the first thing everybody thought is, oh, he's a Q, right? Or
No.
something similar. I think that's the first theory I saw everywhere on the internet. Maybe you didn't
Yeah.
see this, but I
No,
definitely.
I did, and for a second I thought it, and then I thought, "No,
Mhm.
no," and I
Yeah,
have
no, I don't
reasons
think so
why.
either.
Yeah, I have reasons why.
Okay. All right. So the other big theory that's out there, which may be due to art department people just wanting to be fun and put in some fun Easter eggs, or they might be big clues as to what this guy is. The other theory is that he's a personification or representative somehow of the Guardian of Forever. And that's what my name today is about, Star Dispatch. So the
Mhm,
newspaper that he holds is the Star Dispatch, which is the same newspaper in The City on the Edge of Forever, the original
mhm,
series episode where Spock and Kirk read about Edith Keeler dying or not dying in
not
the
dying.
alternate version, whichever. And there's a couple other little things. There's an advertisement or a little story about Edith Keeler's 21st Street mission in that
Mhm,
episode. There's some other things as well, though, not just from that episode. So, just other little things that were in there were, shoot. Uh, okay, so there was a reference to the Janolan, Scotty's ship being
mhm.
lost.
Yep.
There's a reference to the Takan supernova from the last outpost from Star Trek: The Next Generation,
Mhm. Which
which
Scotty
leads to a.
reappeared in.
Sorry, say that again.
Which Scotty reappeared in because he was caught in a transporter buffer.
Yep, yep. So time travel of a sort. We've got cross-dimensional stuff of a sort because I haven't seen this one myself, but somebody said that there's a reference to Wharf crossing in parallels in there somewhere.
Yes. Well, it's
I
Worf
missed that.
wins that Let's tournament.
Right. Okay, that was it. Yeah, somebody had mentioned that. I missed that,
Mhm.
but I have seen people mention that. So it's all kinds of little Easter eggs regarding crossing dimensions, time travel, and that one particular episode as well. So I don't know. What are your thoughts at this point?
My thoughts, well, first of all, the reason why I decided very early on that it was not a Q was because no Q has ever helped humanity just for the sake of helping humanity. Also, a Q would be far more sarcastic, flippant, and be putting on a show. Also, how would the sphere data have any idea where a Q was going to appear at a specific time and point in time and space? There's no
Mhm.
way. So Q eliminated. The next thought that I had was Guardian of Forever. I had not seen all of the Easter eggs from the newspaper when I formed that opinion. And in fact, I've kind of formed that opinion along with Aaron Harvey. We were talking about it, and he's like, people are saying it's Q, and I'm like, oh, I don't think it's a Q, and this is why. And then we both kind of are like, yeah, it kind of feels like a Guardian of Forever thing because it's a guy with a portal. So it's not Doctor Who, so we know that. We know
Mhm.
it's not Doctor Who. But according to the writers, Carl is a Doctor Who reference with his
Oh,
door. Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
That's
that's what
interesting.
I've heard.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
Hmm.
So, yeah, they're big Doctor Who fans. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. But now that I've seen all of the Easter eggs on the newspaper, all my eggs are in that basket. All my eggs are in
Mhm.
the Guardian of Forever basket. And uh the the interesting thing is that I recently rewatched uh City on the Edge of Forever, which I had forgotten a lot about it. And they never named the planet that this
Nope.
portal is on, that the Guardian is on. Plus, there's never any clear information that there is only one Guardian.
Mhm.
So, my theory is that this Guardian is either the original Guardian that somehow got moved to this planet or moved there themselves, or it's a different portal, different Guardian, but still a Guardian of Forever. So
Mhm.
those are my theories as of right now. I have seen people go, I don't want it to be something we've ever seen before. And I thought, yes, you do, because the minute it's something you've never seen before, you're going to complain about it. And you're going to complain about it if it's something you have seen before. So there's no pleasing people like that.
Yeah. No, there's something to be said that it could be something we've never ever seen. It could be just a new omnipotent-ish type being or something like that. The other thing that made me think Guardian, though, of course, was his preoccupation with questions. And
Yes.
that's the thing that really twigged me at first before seeing all of the Easter eggs as well was, there's the introduction of the Guardian of Forever, right? When Spock
Mm-hmm.
asks a question and it lights up and says a question since whatever he says, blah, 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 since long before your sun burned hot in space, I have awaited a question. And yeah, Carl seems very like, there's a question I can answer. I can't give you an answer until you ask the question and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
there's that as well.
And that's the thing. He does say at one point, no, the answer follows the question. If it goes the other way around, it's not a good thing. It's bad things happen.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Absolutely.
Another thing that had occurred to me is that we have had more than one reference to temporal wars.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking that might have some kind of connection as to why this, if it is indeed a Guardian of Forever, would be on this planet. But
Hmm.
again, I can only speculate.
Yeah. The other thing I saw was like, this could be how did I saw this comment somewhere, but it was like, this could be a Harlan Ellison estate evading depiction of the Guardian of Forever. I'm like, oh, that's clever.
Agree. Because
Mhm.
wasn't it in the original story the Guardian was actually had humanoid form?
Yeah, and we've got the comment here.
Ha
So
ha
Harlan
ha!
Ellison
Yes.
envisioned a race of guardians in his version, but large humanoids, and that they couldn't make that work with the budget. And when it was rewritten by Gene Roddenberry, that was taken out. So yeah,
Hmm.
shout out here by the way if you haven't read IDW's adaptation of Harlan Ellison's original script that they did with Harlan Ellison. It's gorgeous art by Peter Woodward. Peter Woodward? J.K. Woodward, sorry. Art by J.K. Woodward. Absolutely gorgeous. Definitely check that out. It's a gorgeous graphic novel. So if you ever want to know what that original story was like, it's pretty cool.
Very nice. Very nice.
Indeed. So let's get a little bit more linear here, which is maybe not so good when you're talking about timelines and universes. But I want to talk about the beginning of the episode with, of course,
Yes.
Kovich, the return of Kovich. I was so happy. I had no idea by the time of this episode was over that that wouldn't be my favorite part of the episode, but apparently it wasn't even close. But I love seeing Kovich again. We
Hmm.
learn about Lieutenant Commander Yor, a time soldier from the Temporal Wars, and he traveled from 2379 across from the alternate reality created by a Romulan mining ship, the Kelvin timeline, the
I
first
know.
prime universe canon mention of the existence of that timeline.
Yes, I lost my stuff when that happened. The funny thing is that the first time I watched it, which was as a screener, there are no subtitles, and so that kind of flew over my head. There was so much going on, so
Mm.
much information that the whole thing about the Romulan mining ship flew over my head. The second time I watched it, which was once it was released to everybody and with the subtitles, I seriously I clutched my chest and I put my hand on Dave and I said, "Dave, do you understand what just happened here?" And he's like, and then I explained it to him and he understood. And he was just like, whoa. So yeah, it really just was wow to me.
That was
And
pretty
and
cool.
I'm not even a huge fan of the first two movies. I do like Beyond. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to me because it I still appreciate and respect all of those movies for bringing more fans to Trek and getting them interested in all of Trek. And so who can fault that? And the fact that now they're really legitimizing it so all those other people can't say, oh, well, Discovery's in the Kelvin universe or something like that. No, you can't do that anymore because they've proved canonically that it is not the Kelvin universe where Discovery is right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much all been like short of directly saying it to the camera,
Mm-hmm.
this is the prime universe, not the Kelvin timeline. But yeah, the mention of the Kelvin timeline, that it's known and exists. I like that idea. Again, yeah, the Kelvin movies aren't my favorite part of Star Trek. I've always explained it as being those movies have some of the things I like about Star Trek in them, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the things that I like the most about Star Trek in them, which, makes me like them a little bit less, but that's fine. I like this kind of mission of bringing all of Star Trek because it's all Star
Yes.
Trek, bringing it
Yes.
all together and having it all count. I think that's a good thing, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about individual parts of it. Sub Rosa is still a part of Star Trek, and Fury from Voyager is still a part of Star Trek. And if they deserve to be a part of Star Trek, so did the Kelvin movies, because,
Yeah.
yeah, there's bad
It's all
stuff all
Star
over
Trek.
the place.
Yeah. It's okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. Someone else has noticed my Spock wearing a Santa hat.
Ah,
Thank you. Thank you, because literally no one else before Dan today had noticed that Spock is wearing a Santa hat. So
excellent. Well, we've
I
got a discerning audience here. We've got the cream of
do.
the crop of the audiences in
I
all of YouTube
agree. And yeah, he's hating every second of it. I can promise you that.
here. I swear the expression on his face is just a little bit. Yeah, he
That's
doesn't
pretty
like
much, yeah, he does not care for it at all.
it.
Mm-mm.
Nice. So good job there, Mark. Thanks for noticing that. That's awesome. Um,
Yes.
So there's this idea, of course, we find out why Giorgio is having problems. Her molecules are meant to exist in the time in which they were created. And because she's time traveled 1,000 years, plus hopped universes, hopped over to a different universe, add to that the fact that the two universes are diverging over time and getting further and further apart, that has meant that she's exhibiting these symptoms. So, what did you think of that as an explanation for what's been going on with Giorgio?
I actually liked that. It made sense to me because basically her molecules are trying to pull themselves back to
Mm-hmm.
where they came from, and it's not going well. It also reminded me of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because that deals also with alternate dimensions and everybody ending up in the Miles Morales Earth 42. And I just, the first thing I thought of was Peter B. Parker, who had ended up in that timeline. After that timeline, Spider-Man got killed and Miles got bitten by a radioactive spider, yada, yada, yada. And he's not going to help Miles take down Kingpin. And he starts to leave and he glitches and just falls down a fire escape. And Miles
Mm-hmm.
comes out and says, "Are you okay?" He's like, "No, no, I'm not." And Miles says, "What's going on with your body?" And he says, "I don't think my atoms are too jazzed about being in the wrong dimension."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's something, and a lot of people have said, oh, we've never seen this in Star Trek before. I would actually say that we kind of have. And first of all, I will say this is a special case because of the time involved and the fact that the universes are getting further apart and stuff. There
Agreed.
is a weird aspect in a season 2 TNG episode called Time Squared, where there was a duplicate Picard from 8 hours in the future, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is related or anything because it was only ever in this episode. His like polarity was messed up or something, so he was all like jumbled in his head or something, which never really made sense. But I'm like, oh, you can kind of maybe connect. Maybe he was violently thrown through time and it did it or something. The other one that someone pointed out, and I didn't think of this, I forget where I saw this pointed out. It might have been in the comments section of something. Seven of Nine, when she's
Yes.
repeatedly being pulled by the relativity in the episode of the same name, eventually gets temporal psychosis, which could be related. Like that kind of makes sense. So
Yeah,
I think it's there.
I agree. I agree. There is
Hmm.
precedent. There are seeds. And even if it isn't something we haven't seen in Trek before, so what? We're seeing a
Yeah.
lot of things that we haven't seen in Trek before, like detached nacelles and the USS Nog. And, there's just a lot of things. I mean, the Federation's holding up in a Heidi bubble.
Mhm.
There's tons of things we haven't seen in Trek before that
Yeah.
still have their roots in other Treks. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think like this type of time travel and universe splitting is pretty unprecedented. So I'm okay with her being a pretty special case anyway, with the exception of
Agreed.
Lieutenant Commander Yor, I guess. So
Yes. Yes.
I saw a question. Donnie Pearson, that title of the TNG episode was a pun on Times Square, was it? I assume so. Yeah, it was Times Squared was the
Mm-hmm.
episode. So I always assumed that was the. I think when I was a little kid, I thought the episode was called Times Square, uh, and
Mm-hmm.
before I'd ever seen it, and I was waiting for them to go to New York or something. So kids are weird. Kids get strange ideas, but
Oh,
yeah, I
yes,
think
we
that's
do.
what they were going for.
Mhm.
um, yeah. So what else do we have here? Giorgio, of course, is suffering from this as we see, and we get this scene with her and Tilly and a brilliant little foreshadowing of Captain Killy when she mentions Killy at that moment. I was like, later in the episode, I was like, oh, that was foreshadowing back there, or
Mhm.
just like a little reminder to the audience. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
Um,
Killy is unforgettable. I don't think any of us
absolutely.
forgot about her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the fight scene I want to talk about between Burnham and Giorgio in the gym there. Man, those axes. I don't know that I just leave those out for that there. That was a little um disconcerting. But yeah, she's basically trying to get Michael to kill her, right? Like this is what I'm getting from that scene is she wants an honorable death and wants Michael to kill her, to put her out of her misery, I guess.
Yeah, my husband Dave pointed out that it was quite similar in some ways to a scene in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Mm.
where there is, the bad girl, so to speak, just trying to hurl everything at the wielder of the green sword of destiny. So yeah, it does very much remind me of martial arts in general, but specifically Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, especially since Michelle Yeoh was in that movie.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so the other thing is, of course, the computer decides, the computer mixed with the sphere data says Giorgio has a 5% chance of survival if she goes to this particular planet, this particular place where we find Carl hanging out. Just to go back to Kovic and David Cronenberg again, I just love his performances. I just love that guy. It's like, forget it. There's absolutely no way. There's no chance. And there is a solution. Let's hear it.
Yeah, and just like, I stand corrected. Proceed. Yeah, tell me about this. So yeah, that was the most animated we'd seen him yet when he was explaining that there was no cure, there was no way to save her, and then gets interrupted by the sphere data, and he's just like, okay, let's hear this.
All right.
He's fantastic. I hope that we get more appearances from him on Discovery because the character is just he's basically just immortal now.
Mhm.
Everybody knows who Kovic is, and he's only been in like 2 episodes briefly. That's
Mhm.
the impact this character and the performance of David Cronenberg have had.
Yeah. Oh, did you see? And I haven't even looked at the article or the interview yet, but somebody linked. And apologies if this is a spoiler for anybody. I guess plug your ears for just the next few seconds if you don't want to know anything about future episodes, behind the scenes stuff. But apparently, David Cronenberg says he's been confirmed as guesting in season 4 of Discovery. So I'm like,
Yeah, they're
all
saying that in
right.
the chat right now. So
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, TJ there. There we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's more
That's
than one. Summer Vacation also says he will be in season 4. So yeah, and Stefan Seitz
oh,
says season 4. Yep, a lot of that going on. A lot of that going on.
lots of people saw the announcement. That's cool. So yeah, I'm really excited we'll see more of this character. I was kind of worried that he'd be a one and done in that one episode. I didn't think that would be the case, but part of me was a little worried. But I'm so glad we're going to get more of him because he's pretty awesome.
You can't waste David Cronenberg on one guest appearance. Come on.
Mhm.
If you're gonna have him on, have him on.
So the other thing, it's funny, the front half of this episode it's all in act 1, that like everything before the mirror universe bit happens, and then mirror universe is act 2 3. Like it's crazy how much happens just in one part of this episode. But
It's
we
huge.
get, yeah, the whole thing about wanting to go to this planet to help Giorgio. Saru initially says, we shouldn't go, we'll be needed here to deal with the Emerald Chain. And in just my favorite Vance scene to date, I just love
Mm,
this scene. Vance says, no, you should take Giorgio. We'll be fine without you. And everyone else except him and Saru leave. And they have that great conversation about leadership where he says, if you have a drowning crewman, and if you allow them to drown, your crew will never look at you the same way, and you won't look at yourself the same way again. And it just really humanized Vance in this really amazing way where he's not just the admiral, he's an actual person with life experience, and says, take it from an old salt who's made lots of bad choices. Don't
yeah.
make that mistake. That was great. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that he wanted to divert Saru from that. He could have just as easily let him, make that mistake and learn from that. But it's obvious to me that he has been there. He has done that thing. He has let
Mhm.
that crewman drown. And he knows what comes after. And so he is saying that as someone who has made that mistake before. Don't do that.
Mhm.
Trust me. Don't do that. And so I really think he's actually speaking from personal experience. So,
Yeah, definitely. The other thing with Vance that I forgot to mention, which happens just before this, is he says, "Yeah, you should go on this mission on one condition. If you can answer my one question," he says to Burnham, basically asking, "If it comes down to it, will you be able to let Giorgio go? Because I know what happened with Arium on the Section 31 station." Which, just like timing wise, I just happened to recently watch that episode with someone who is still watching season 2. So I'm getting caught up with them, or helping them get caught up. So I had just seen that this last week. And I was like, that's brilliant. Like, even that says a lot about Vance's character, that he's studied up on this crew and has gotten to know them, and asks the right question of Burnham. And I absolutely believe Burnham when she says, she learned her lesson and will be able to let go when the time comes. So there's
yeah.
a great scene there as well.
Yes. Yes. Well, she's a different Michael now. And maybe if they were still in their original timeline and still just going about their business and the whole control mess hadn't happened, but then Arian wouldn't have died. But I just feel like that year being in this timeline by herself has made her have to make hard choices, and so she is at that point where she can make that hard choice, even if it means somebody's death.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. I just want to highlight this comment because I like that. Um, yeah, Beaverius. And
yeah.
sorry.
I was just gonna say I never saw him as a bad Merle, not once.
Yeah, people have been questioning whether he's kind of got some shadiness to him or not, but I haven't seen it. I don't know. There's the whole like, has Starfleet been pure and good lately? We don't really know. We just know what we've seen from Discovery, and so far from what we've seen from Discovery, they seem okay.
Hmm.
Vance seems okay. Um, I don't know. I don't get shady from him, but some people have, I guess.
Well, he exudes a man of experience, and the unfortunate side of that is that you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your triumphs. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's happened to him, because he, again, said he'd made a lot of bad calls in his time. But I
Yeah.
firmly believe that he is the kind of person that learns from those mistakes. So, and there have been admirals that were not bad. Nechayev wasn't bad. She might have been a little bit brusque, but she was dealing with a lot of sexism because it was the 80s and early 90s, and there was still all this BS sexism going on. Don't even get me started on Q and Voyager. Ugh. So,
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll leave that as an open question as to Vance. Some people think he's not worth trusting. He hasn't done anything to set off my bad moral radar yet, so we'll see. Yeah, okay, so we'll fast forward. Oh no, couple more things still. First, we
yes.
get the Stamets and Adira scene, which doesn't advance things a lot, but we get a little bit of insight into the fact that Gray isn't talking to Adira, and how that's obviously affecting Adira right now, and that sort of thing. It was a nice little scene, not a lot of advancement on that story, but just a little bit more insight into kind of what's going on with them at the moment.
Yeah, and Adira's reaction when Stamets brings it up is very teenager. Very
Yes.
teenager. They're saying, if he was around right now, I mean, I'm glad he's not around. If he was here right now and talking to me, I would totally thank him for leaving me alone. I just, yeah, that's not how you feel. It's just,
The
yeah.
look on Stamets' face is like, yes, coping mechanisms.
Yeah. Oh, he recognizes that. Yeah,
Yeah,
he recognizes that. He's done that. So, yeah. Yes, he has
absolutely.
acted like a child on more than one occasion. So he's got a great understanding of teenage behavior.
hmm and the other kind of major, man, no, there is a couple more major things too. So, okay, the ship in the nebula, not the Discovery.
I'm so
Uh,
glad. I'm so glad.
I was so glad when I found that out as well, and I think I was surprised by how glad I was. Like, I just kind of assumed, like, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and then I was, really relieved when it wasn't. So it's a Kelpian ship, and it's been there for over a century. I think they said since before the burn, and that's what's sending out the distress call. So
Mm,
assuming we'll get some follow up on that in a later. A lot of what's happening now is kind of open ended stuff that we'll presumably get, answers to later after the next episode, or maybe during the next episode. I feel like next episode's very mirror centered, but we'll see. Uh, but the other thing on Discovery that I really enjoyed as well was Book's scene with Saru.
yes.
Yeah, where Book kind of says, like, I want in, I'm gonna hang around, I'm gonna do the things, I'm gonna be all Starfleet. And Saru's kind of like, Starfleet protocol doesn't really allow that sort of leeway, but we had to prove ourselves when we came here. I'm sure you'll find an opportunity to prove yourself as well. And that's where we're left with that. So I'm assuming that's going to happen sometime soon as well.
I'm sure that it will. It's just so adorable because Book's just kind of like this excited puppy right now. He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm on board. And Saru's like, down, sit down, stay, go read the field manual.
I did like the acknowledgement that Saru and Discovery were the excited puppies a few episodes ago, though, too, where he
Mm-hmm.
like makes that comparison and says, yeah, we've been there. Like, we were eager as well, but just relax.
Yeah, you
I
will
like
have your
that.
moment.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just happy when I see Book in an episode. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see him so excited and just like you said, like a puppy, like wide eyed, and yeah, he was
Mhm.
all gung ho. I like that.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's good
absolutely.
Kool-Aid. It's good Kool-Aid.
hmm
It's very tasty.
For sure. Okay, so let's fast forward then. We're on the planet. We have the doorway. We have Carl. Regardless of what he is, the one chance Giorgio has apparently is through this door. I've got to ask, before she stepped through the door, the first time you saw this episode, did you at all suspect? Did you have any idea what was going to be on the other side of that door?
Absolutely 100%.
Really?
Yeah, from the title, Terra Firma. I'm like, this is going to
Okay.
be a mirror episode, and they're trying to find a cure for Giorgio. So the minute the guy with the portal shows up, I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I know where this is going. And I would like to say, that scene where they finally arrived at the coordinates and there's kind of a life form signal, and the way the camera just pans and there's Carl in the door, that was masterful.
I know.
Absolutely masterful.
I didn't realize how masterful it was until the second time I watched it. And I was like, oh, there was nothing there seconds ago. Like, that was well done. Same shot, like brilliant. That was really cool.
Yes, so well
Um,
done.
so you said 100%, you knew 100% what was going to be on
Mhm.
the other side. So you knew she'd go back in time and into the mirror universe?
I did not mean to say that I knew where she would be in the mirror universe time-wise.
Okay.
And I'm not in there's no evidence to say that she's actually in the mirror
Mhm.
universe either.
Yeah. Could
So,
all be in her
I
head.
Yeah, could all be in her head, but I figured we were going to see the mirror universe again. And
Mhm.
I figured just by extrapolation, since her probably biggest regret is losing her Michael, which she's pretty much said
Mhm.
in not so many words when she said that she regretted that Prime Michael was not her Michael. And so I figured, well, this is probably going back in time. And it started to really feel like It's a Wonderful Life or A Christmas Carol.
Or Tapestry,
So,
as a lot of
yep,
people have
that
pointed
too.
out too.
Yeah, that too. And it's just kind of funny that this episode is happening in December, close to Christmas time, and it's evoking these feelings of Christmas movies and stories.
I'm just so happy they're not just filming in Southern California now, so we can get proper snow. Like they're filming in Canada. Yep, half the
Yeah,
year there's going to be snow.
and I was looking at those trees and I'm going like, that's not Iceland anymore. This is definitely Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is definitely Ontario. Yeah.
Nice.
I had a feeling we'd see the Mirror Universe again because of the title. Like you said, I'd forgotten that I had mentioned that last week, that like, oh, Terra, I bet you they're doing that. I was surprised that it was like before all of the events of season one that we were going to back to that. But like you said, in retrospect, with watching it a second time and seeing all of the setup for it, it makes absolute perfect sense for sure. Um, the number of times Lorca was mentioned because he's leading the coup. Ah, man. I I don't know. I don't think I expected to see Jason Isaacs as Lorca this week or anything like that, but they're definitely name dropping him a lot and really like even if Jason Isaacs isn't in the next episode, they're really banking on our memories of Lorca and that name in this
Mhm.
episode for sure. So yeah, I hope we see Jason Isaacs in some way, shape, or form. If not, that's okay too. But this whole period of time is really interesting. Also, if she is really back in time, and again, like you said, there's no way to know that. It could all be in her head. It could be an illusion. It could be any number of things. If she is really back in time, she's definitely made some big changes to that timeline already, even before the scene when she stops herself from killing Michael and says, it's unwritten now, blah, blah, blah. Even before that, she makes some significant changes with the death. I think mainly the death of Stamets is kind of the biggest one there.
Yeah.
Or at least the death of Stamets a couple of years before he's supposed to die.
Yeah. Because it's very interesting that this whatever it is starts where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes her a little time, but she realizes that this is the day that they're christening the Charon, and she also remembers that this is the day that Michael betrays her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not coincidence that this is the day that she has appeared in this whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. This is one of those ones where I'm like, by the end of the episode, I have no idea where it's going. Again, just because we don't know exactly the nature of what's happening and all of that. But it's definitely obviously, I think, the start of Giorgio's redemption arc, whatever
Mm,
that will end up looking like. I will also point out the writers of the episode, Erica Leipold and Boyan Kim, and Alan McElroy, but the first two are the head writers for Section 31. And I gotta say, that goodbye between Giorgio, Saru, and Tilly, that felt like a real goodbye. Like, I feel like she's not gonna die. We know there are further adventures with Giorgio to come, but I think this is her swan song from that group of people, if nothing else, which is
yeah,
interesting.
that scene made me quite emotional. So yes, I am 9 for 9 on crying.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
yeah, because Tilly does the most possible Tilly thing by ignoring her hand and hugging her, and she hugs back.
Yeah, that was
So
And like Giorgio calls her number one in that
Mhm.
scene, which is amazing. And then between her and Saru calls her emperor and Giorgio calls him captain. I was just like,
Yeah, that's why I was just like, yeah.
so great. So yeah, I'm wondering, like I just really want to see the whiteboard where this is all laid out because I really want to know where they're going with this and what they're thinking, because it is not at all where I thought Giorgio was going. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting to be in this place where you really have no idea what's going to happen next. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can make certain predictions, but you can't predict how this is all going to end up. It
No.
it's interesting because this is about Giorgio wanting to make different choices, wanting to be a different person than what she was or perceived herself to be when she was the Terran Emperor.
Mm,
So and it is a redemption arc. It is. That is very clear. Her not
absolutely.
knowing Michael, and and one has to wonder. So didn't she say take her to the agonizer? So took her to the agonizer. So what is she? My guess is that she wants to keep like bring my well she says earlier in the episode, Michael will Lorca's attempt to take over will fail and Michael will come back to the fold. That is her goal, is to get her Michael back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love Mirror Tilly, Captain Killy, as we know her as.
Glorious.
I
Glorious.
I feel like there's not many other characters, maybe no other characters, except maybe Michael at some point in this mirror universe environment, that could turn to the Emperor and say, if you do this, your loyalists will, like the fact that she's saying this directly to the Emperor and not worried for her own health. Basically, I'm like, there's Captain Tilly. She's dangerous too. So that was pretty cool.
She says so many things with just the sweetest voice. And yet, at the same time, she is
Yeah.
absolutely deadly and will kill you for the smallest slight. So, that is a difficult line to walk. And kudos to Mary Wiseman for being a brilliant actor. And the hair and the makeup. There's so much eyeliner in the Mirror Universe.
Yes.
Just
That's
everybody's
must be
got
like one of the
eyeliner.
biggest industries.
Yeah, not complaining because everyone looks fierce. Well,
Hmm.
I'll be honest, everyone looks fierce, but and I mean fierce in the fashion way and fierce in the you terrify me way. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's but seeing Killy for real, the real Killy, which we haven't seen except in like a hollow,
Hmm.
uh, that was just a treat. I
Yeah.
think it,
I
it was
and
really
Yeah, and I really like the choice that you alluded to as well, where she doesn't make her voice rough or gruff or angry or anything like that. Not like, because we saw our Tilly pretending to be mirror Tilly, and she was kind of affecting that, like, oh, how would I be if I was here? But we see the real one here, and no, she speaks exactly like Tilly does, but when she's facing you speaking like this, oh, suddenly I have a knife in the side of my neck from her, and I did not see that coming. That's the impression I get from her, and that was brilliant.
yes. I loved it. Loved it.
So Mark, thank you so much. Yeah, Owo. We got to talk about Owoshikun. That
Yes.
fight scene between her and Reese. Oh my goodness. Another actor who just facially is an amazing, amazing performer. I couldn't believe what she was communicating with just her face in some of those scenes. I was blown away.
She said almost nothing throughout this episode, but you knew what she was thinking and feeling every single second the camera was on her. It was genius. Way to go. Just wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had to call her out in the video that I made. Just, I've got her signed photo there. She was incredible in this episode. I think
Mhm.
yeah, definitely not a character I would want to cross in the mirror universe for sure. So yeah, Reese didn't look too good after all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he
Um
would've lost that fight if they'd have been
yeah.
allowed to continue.
Mhm. So, yeah, with all of that said, is there anything that we haven't talked about that we do need to talk about?
I want to praise the whole, theater thing that happened.
Mhm.
Uh, and Dave actually pointed out that it was really weird for them to be doing, like, this artful performance, but at the same time, everything was so structured and rigid that it's basically fascist art. It's art to serve the state,
Yep,
not for entertainment.
absolutely.
And Stamets' monologue, the poem that he recited, was so well written. So well written. It wasn't just about the words, it wasn't just about the rhyme, it was about the structure of every single line of that poem and where the accents were on the syllables and everything. And I don't think people understand how hard that is to do.
Mhm.
So, way to go on that one. I was so impressed. I can't even stand it.
Yeah, and the performance of it as well.
Mhm.
Definitely seeing his musical theater background coming out there. I feel like he had a lot of fun doing that too. I think he
Oh,
was like,
absolutely.
"Ooh, this is my element. I love it."
Absolutely, and the whole Shakespearean thing of the red ribbons symbolizing blood.
Yes, that overhead shot afterwards.
Mhm,
Oh, that was beautiful. I had to laugh at that shot, but like in a good way. Like
mhm.
brilliant. Loved it.
Yeah, very masterful. Well done.
Yeah, and kudos to the VFX person who, got that shot perfectly of the energy
Yes.
ball from the Charon through the
The
headpiece,
nice
like
the mycelial gumball. Yeah, mhm.
yeah. That was
That's what it
beautiful.
is.
That was really
It
cool.
was. It was, if I could get a freeze frame of that, it's just, so it's so special. It's just really well done.
I
Very well.
immediately did a screen cap of that for the podcast show art for the episode that's coming out on Monday. I'm like, well, that's it. That's got to be it. Absolutely.
Definitely.
I just remembered, I saved a photo that somebody had shared on Reddit that I hadn't noticed, but hold on. I'm going to share my screen. A Chrome tab. This one. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So it's comparing the shots in this episode to the shots from the very first episode of Discovery, and there are filmmakers and stuff in the chat who were basically like, yeah, this is a farewell farewell shots for Giorgio, and like how amazingly they match our introduction to the other Giorgio, granted, but introduction to the character, exit of the character, possibly. And I was blown away by this because I had not
Wow.
picked up on that.
Me either. Wow.
Isn't
Thank
that
you for
incredible?
sharing that. Yes.
I'm glad I remembered because I was like, oh, I have this other tab open. Why do I have that open? So,
Wow.
yeah.
Magnificent.
And
Huh.
even, I mean, it's so close, it's got to be intentional. But even if somehow it's not intentional, just gorgeous cinematography, like absolutely
Um,
beautiful.
when it comes to cinematography, there is no coincidence. There
Hmm.
is no coincidence.
Yeah,
Everything that is done for specific reasons that is serving the plot or the story or whatever. So this can't be a coincidence. There's
I, I
just no
I don't
way.
see how it could. Yeah,
Not a coincidence. Wow.
uh,
Whew. That puts a new layer on things.
right?
Whew.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that was my that was my big contribution here. I was like, oh, that's amazing, and so thank you to random person on Reddit whose name I did not get, but it was really, really great.
That's amazing.
Final thoughts and a rating for this episode. And again, I know it's a hard. This is a weird one because it's a part 1 of 2, and I've said half of this time I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. Maybe a little hard to rate, but I mean, I think it was awesome. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I am not a big fan of Mirror Universe episodes, but after all of the Mirror episodes that I have seen, I would rate this one as my favorite to date. And I actually did enjoy this episode, which is unusual for me, because when we're watching people in the Mirror Universe, we're watching horrible people being horrible to other horrible people and other innocent people. And that's just not fun for me. So the way that I feel about this episode is the way that Giorgio looks at Saru when she says goodbye and calls him Captain.
That's a really good rating. Yeah. I really loved this episode. I think I can't give it anything less than top marks. I don't know that it's my favorite episode of the season yet. When I made my video review, I said I have new episode energy. I'm just coming off of the episode, right? So it's pretty high up there for all of the reasons that I've brought up today. So I think I'd have to give it the wide-eyed look that Book has when he's really eager to help out. That's the eagerness I have to see where this is all going and how this all plays out. But also
Yes.
but also just a little bit of sadness in the corner of my eye for the fact that there's only 4 episodes left.
I know.
Like I want to see them. I want to see them now, but I want to like hold on to them forever, not having seen them, because I want there to be more that I haven't seen yet.
Yes, I agree.
So,
But we know there's a season 4 coming, so there is that. We know that there are rumors that Strange New Worlds has started production, so there's that. There's rumors that Picard will start production of season 2 in January. So that we know Lower Deck season 2 is already under production. So we have things coming. We just have to be patient and just, wow, it was quite a ride, this episode. Not what I expected.
Not what I expected at all.
Thank you for the dad puns. I love that Carl makes dad jokes.
Those are so great.
Yeah, and another line that he does that I absolutely love, we're like, what is that? And he's like, it's a door. Maybe you should have studied up on doors before you came here.
It's funny that I didn't catch that one till I watched it the second time, because I was just like, so like, what's going on at that point? But yeah, he's a pretty funny guy. Yeah, lots of great comments here. 9 Orion strippers for the farewell bash. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to make sure I get all of the ratings. And Stefan asked, can you share this pic, please, Dan? I will post that picture in the Positively Trek discussion group on Facebook. I'll post it there with a little, and I'll find the post on Reddit and credit whoever it was and stuff. So you can grab the pic there. I swear that's not a ploy to get people to join the Positively Trek discussion group, but hey, why not if you're there?
I mean, if you're watching this, why aren't you already a member?
I think most of you probably are, to be fair. So yeah, I'll share it over there, and go check it out. Search for Positively Trek on Facebook. We're the Positively Trek discussion group. Just answer a few questions, agree to the rules, and we'll let you in. So yeah. But when you're not chatting in the Positively Trek discussion group, Brandy, where can people find you?
Places. Not the Mirror Universe, though. No, I don't want to hang out there. Sorry, it's just too mean for me.
I wouldn't last long.
No, I wouldn't either. I would be the first one dead, and that's for the best for everyone. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandywine12, Brandy with an I, 12 with a number. That's where 12 with a number, 12 is a number. And I do other things. I post about them on Twitter. There are other podcasts. There's What the Future Holds, which is about Star Trek Discovery. There is The Vedic Assembly, which is about Deep Space Nine. And there is Boldly Go, which is about Strange New Worlds that hasn't even started yet. But hey, we're still covering the triumvirate before, because we've got that whole second season of Discovery with lots of things to talk about. So we're doing
exciting.
that. And you can find all of those on hallsweetmedia.com. And then I also do a live show on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, figure it out. And that is Infinite Trek with my friend Aaron Harvey, which we're also covering Discovery right now. Had a completely different conversation from the one that Dan and I just had. It's crazy. Different people have different viewpoints and bring out different topics. Imagine that. So this doesn't ever get redundant for me. The many times that I have discussed it, both on What the Future Holds, Infinite Trek here, it's still a fresh discussion every single time. And then I do the Dark Corner podcast with my husband, Dave, which we just wrapped an episode that was very video game heavy, where I talk about the Silent Hill franchise. That really messed me up in the best way. And you can find that at darkcornerpodcast.com. Someday you will also see a new episode of Headcanon, which is also on darkcornerpodcast.com, which is just a big solo trip through my crazy brain. So that's everything. So what do you do, Dan? You do stuff and things.
I do stuff and things. Biggest thing is the Positively Trek podcast that I do with Bruce Gibson. We do episode reviews every week, plus a flagship show every week. This week, kind of special, we had Ben Robinson on for the flagship show that comes out on Tuesday. We're talking about all kinds of stuff, mostly the new book, the Voyager celebration in honor of the anniversary of Voyager that's this year. But we also, of course, talk about the Starships collection and all that. I mean, how could you not? We have Ben Robinson on, so there's that. But he was also kind enough to stick around for the Discovery review episode, which comes out the day before on Monday. So you get a double dose of Ben Robinson this week. For those of you who don't know him, by the way, he's in charge of Hero Collector. They do the Starships collection for Eagle Moss and all of that stuff. So great. It was lots of fun. Hope you can join us for that. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Kertrats. That's Kertrats. And like I said, the Positively Trek discussion group on Facebook. So just search for Positively Trek on Facebook and join up there. And subscribe to Positively Trek, the podcast, as well, if you haven't already. We'd love for more people to hear that. So, yeah.
What's going on. I'm wearing a Spock Christmas shirt.
Nice.
It does say Long and Prosper, but I can't show the whole thing because there's this black bar that's blocking me.
I'm wearing a Star Trek The Next Generation Pokemon crossover.
Of course you are. Thank you, Zamboni, for making a Mystery Science Theater reference. I love
you. Awesome. Thank you all so much. It was fun as always. So all that's left is to say